And there are a myriad of saints. We have in our library we have a book of Franciscan saints. There's a saint for every day, or a blessed or servant of God for every day. And there are many more that could be added to that. From the 800 years of the existence of the Franciscan order since the time of St. Francis, and it's a tribute to the richness of the vocation of St. Francis, the richness of the religious life of the Franciscan order, founded by Our Lady, founded by God Himself, which is prophesied that will exist till the end of the world, continuing to populate the world with saints and men and women who will hold out the torch of holiness to the world and build up the church. And the church is in a crisis today of vocations, of reverence, of saints, and the church has been in crisis many times through this history of the church, and it was in a crisis during the times of St. Francis. It was said that the love of God was gone from the hearts of men, and St. Francis was very instrumental in restoring the love of God in the hearts of men because of his example himself, the beautiful words that he would preach, and the love of God that just exuded out of him when he preached. And he was a simple man, and yet he attracted all types to the order. Simple men, intelligent men, and men of all kinds of forms of life. And so he, because of his great sanctity, considered that perfect imitation of Jesus Christ, he was able to attract so many to the life of holiness. And he established the Franciscan order based on really the life of Jesus, the life of contemplation of Jesus, and his preaching. That he prayed and he preached. He prayed and he preached, and he lived a life of penance and self-sacrifice and love for humanity, and love for God, his Father. And St. Francis copied that as perfectly as he could. He copied it so perfectly that God put a stamp of approval in his life and his example by the stigmata. And so we are called to follow that example, and it's a model to follow of holiness. And we all need models. We need forms of life, because we don't always know what to do to become a saint. And sometimes if we knew, we wouldn't be able to do it. We need those models. We need somebody to form us. We need a model to form us. Saint Therese, the child Jesus, had her older sister Pauline, who later became Sister Agnes in the Carmelite order, and she was said to have formed her into a saint. And then after Saint Therese died, Sister Pauline, or Sister Agnes was her religious name, was made the mother or the superior abbess of her order for the rest of her life. And the sister said if she was good enough to make a saint out of Saint Therese, she's good enough to make a saint of the rest of us. And so she was permitted to be the abbess for the rest of her life in her little convent. So she formed Saint Therese, and Saint Francis formed all these saints, and the Franciscan order continues to form all these saints, and all we have to do is follow the model, and all you have to do is, so to speak, enter a Franciscan community, and you become holy to a certain extent. People say that we Franciscans are holy, and we Franciscans don't believe that, because we know our faults and we live with each other and all that. But in a certain sense it's true, because all we have to do is follow this way of life and we become holy. How many lay people pray 5 to 7 hours a day, live a life of penance and sacrifice and adoration, and live in the company of Jesus in their own home, and practice charity and live in under obedience and poverty and chastity and live a strict way of life and a schedule, how many lay people could do such a thing? No one, pretty much no one could do that, but anybody can do it if once they enter this way of life, and they become holy just by following the program. And that's what the Franciscan order has done. It's made many, many saints because those who enter just follow the program, follow the schedule, observe the way of life. And the saints always tell us, St. Pio always said, you can become canonizable just by following the rule. Following the rule as perfectly as you can. And following the gospel. The Franciscan rule is the gospel of Jesus Christ followed. And we see the characteristic things of the Franciscan order, the love for poverty, especially an emphasis on poverty and the simple life, the devotional life, that those devotions of the Franciscan order that touch your heart, the Stations of the Cross, which Franciscans have popularized, the Angelus the Franciscans popularized, preaching and the wearing of the habit. The Franciscans popularized wearing the habit throughout the world, throughout the places that they go. In preaching, there's the order of preachers, the Dominicans that was founded right at the same time of St. Francis, and they were preachers, but Franciscans were very much preachers too, just as much, going around. And many great preachers of the Franciscan order we have, St. John Capistran, St. Bernardine of Siena in particular, St. Anthony, St. Francis himself, and even to our day, preaching is a primary part of our way of life, because it was in the life of Jesus in his last 3 years. Preaching was important, but prayer came first. Contemplative life and comes first, and this is the Franciscan life is contemplative first, and then active, then preaching, then apostolic work. That life of prayer, which is an edifying thing to the world, to focus on prayer and many hours of prayer, putting our Lord first and our interior life first, and if it's turned the upside down and the other way around, we won't give that example. We won't have that fire of love for God to give to the world. So we just need to be faithful to our Franciscan calling, those of us who are Franciscans or associated with the Franciscan order, and we need to continue to strive for sanctity and perfect observance of our rule, and try to make saints of others. And so we ask for the prayers of many lay people to help us to be faithful to our calling, to following the great example of St. Francis and all the many saints who have come after them and who are faithful to the gospel living of Jesus Christ.